with a 4-leaf clover on my breast, and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see, for they play football the Celtic way, for they play football the Celtic way, for they play football the Celtic way, 'cause they play football the Celtic way.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Wednesday 4-Leaf Clover Podcast. There will be no sabbatical for us during the pre-season. 1.8k views on our last podcast, more views than subscribers. We are absolutely flying. Andy, where are you this evening, my good man? That looks like a different location.
Aye, the boss has been nice enough to let me use his Wi-Fi in his office rather than sit in the truck. So a wee bit of a change, aye. I'm over in the Emerald Isle. I have been here all week, and I will be here probably until Friday, I'd imagine.
Good man. We'll keep your location quiet anyway, mate, just so that you're safe. Patrick, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Knowing that Andy's in God's country is even better. We're both of us on the right side of the water. So,
Yes.
aye, all good, Scott. Yep, been a busy week so far. So, just taking over nicely, but looking forward to tonight and looking forward to another weekend.
Happy days, mate. You're getting closer to Spain, by the way. You can maybe nip down for a pint the next time, is there?
Probably slighter the wrong way, actually. We need to get back to
Probably cheaper flights, mate. Probably cheaper flights. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is the pre-season and we still have stuff to talk about when it comes to Celtic. That's the content we're trying to give you here at the 4-Leaf Clover Podcast. Like I said, unbelievable views. We're getting more views than subscribers, which is unheard of on Celtic podcasts, you know, so we're absolutely flying at the minute. So keep sharing this podcast, keep subscribing, keep telling your pals about it. The content's there for everybody to see and we're getting the views to back it up. So the first thing I've got for you this evening, Andy, is probably the luckiest player at Celtic that there's ever been. He's picked up a wage, mate, for 7 years for doing absolutely hee-haw. But it's nice to see him finally getting released, mate, and signing a 1-year deal with Falkirk. Scott Bain away to Falkirk, and he had good things to say about Celtic as well when he went there.
quite rightly so. We've been paying his wages for 7 years for hee-haw. Listen, good luck to him. He's away. He's got another club. He's just going to be sitting his arse on a different bench, isn't he? Let's be honest. Is he going to be a first-team starter? I don't quite imagine so. But listen, it's a great number if you can get it. Then good luck to him. He's done very well at it. You can remember him turning up at Celtic Park. He still get a hips tracky on, you know. So that's how late the deal was done when he came into us. But he was a half decent keeper. He was quite happy to do the job he was doing. So, good luck to him.
He was the Scott Carson of Scottish football, Paddy, wasn't he? But no, fair dues to him. You know, when he was called upon, he done the job when he came in, which wasn't very often, to be fair. But best of luck to him at Falkirk, mate. Best of luck. Yeah,
no doubt about it, Scott. He was never ever going to be like a regular number one. That's not what he was brought in for. He was brought in as a backup goalkeeper, and he didn't get very many opportunities. He got very few extended runs in the first team for any length of time, and it was only when you saw him, during those extended runs that you realised that he had his limitations. But as Andy said, he's 34 years of age. He's made a good living being a Celtic player. Fair enough, he's warmed the bench on more than he's been on the field, but he was there when we needed him, and on more than one occasion he stepped in and was the difference in games, especially in some of the important seasons. But I have nothing but admiration for the guy. As I say, he quietly went about his business. There was never any fanfare around him. There was never any controversy around him. He just quietly went about and That I enjoyed watching him. He seemed to be very popular with the rest of the squad because you see them doing the warm-ups when you're at Celtic Park. You can see the players coming out for the warm-ups, and he's a very, very popular member of the squad. I can see that with the other players. That's maybe a side to him that maybe a lot of people don't see. He's obviously a very happy-go-lucky character. You can see the goalkeepers, they have this wee thing going where they try to hit the crossbar from about sort of 30 yards out when they're doing their warm-up, and you can see them, they're just having a good time. And he's just carrying on as a member of the squad like everybody else. So listen, it's a fantastic move for him, and it's a fantastic move for Falkirk. As I said, he's only 34 years of age. When you consider Craig Gordon in his 40s, that Scott Bain has at least another couple of really good seasons in him. And for a team who have won promotion to the Premier League, he's a very, very experienced goalkeeper at the very highest level with Celtic and Hibs. He's played in the European football, so he's a fantastic signing for Falkirk. And again, for himself, he's not going to have to go far. Probably not have to move house or whatever. It's a nice wee move for him at this time of his career. He's going to be, and he will be, the number one goalkeeper at Falkirk. So definitely wish him all the very, very best. He's been a great servant for Celtic. He never let us down, and I wish the guy nothing but good luck.
Aye, and our mate there, Andy Barry. I was there when he made his debut at the Debt Dome, and it was the same day Wits the goalie day and Tom was born. The irony. Aye, what a day that was.
That man, Barry Quinn, is my hero. Honestly, what a guy. Absolutely. Privileged to call him a pal. A great guy.
Aye, he's a lovely man, Barry. I spoke to him on video the other night as well. No baby wipes were on that video call, I must stress, by the way. It was just a friendly chat between two pals. But Barry, what a guy, man. Good to see you in the chat, mate. He was part of the Scottish contingent as well that we needed for European football. We have replaced him with Ross Doohan from Aberdeen. It's something we spoke about last week. Could this be Kasper Schmeichel's, time to leave? I know he's been getting a bit of stick in the Danish press as well. I think he's been asking to leave the Danish, the Danish party because he's not getting a game, and he's been told he's got to stay, even though he's not getting any game time. So watch this space. We could be going for a brand new number one as well. So something we announced on last Wednesday's podcast, ladies and gentlemen, was that Celtic had accepted an invitation to go to Como. And it was announced yesterday, Andy, that this is going to be the case. Very nice, very smart. The Vespers there. Football on the lake. So from July the 23rd to July the 27th, Celtic will be going over to Lake Como, taking on Como, who have just signed Alex Valle in a €6 million deal, 5-year contract. Ajax and Saudi side Al Ahly. Now they claim, like another team did for a long time, to be the most successful club in the world. So it'll be interesting, mate. We did touch on it briefly, but now it's been confirmed, we can talk about it. It'll be Cork City up first, mate, and then over to the lovely setting of Lake Como. For these 3 games, I think we'll play 2 of them by the looks of things.
Aye, obviously you mentioned Cork there as well. It's a good to see Celtic going down there as well. This Como Cup, I totally get it. It makes sense. It's very attractive. And I said it in the chat, I just wouldn't entertain Ajax at all. We've got history with him. And for good reason, I'd be turning my nose up at entertaining him at being in any kind of friendly competition. Different when you're facing them when it's in the European competition or something. But as a friendly, I simply wouldn't. They're up there with the Huns for me when it comes to that friendly competition in Australia. I just wouldn't entertain them. I think they're scumbags. Apart from that, aye, good. I think it's very good for the club, aye.
Aye, and they have just signed Alex Valle, mate. Como, £6 million deal. Probably another one that got away from us. He was only ways for the 6 months. Paddy, he could have been a cracking backup for KT, but it's good to see that boy's pushed on as well. Went there and got himself a permanent deal. But aye, three decent sides, for our second and third game of pre-season.
Definitely, and great to see Alex Valle. Like we saw the potential that he had when he came to Celtic on loan there. I'm not entirely sure, Scott. I don't know that he was ever going to be cut out long term for the rough and tumble of the SPFL. I just think he was a bit lightweight. I think very similar player to Greg Taylor in terms of his stature and build, but I think Greg Taylor has worked on himself and he knows the league a lot better than Alex Fahey does. So I think Alex Fahey was a wee bit surprised by the physicality of the league. So I don't think he was ever really going to be like a long term solution for us at left back. But no, great to see him. He's got a good move there, and again he's going to a club in a beautiful part of the world, and this is going to be very high profile for ourselves. That's another one. You're going to get your name out there. You're in there with some of the biggest names there. So you've got the likes of Al Hilal, you've got Ajax, as Andy says, who there's an element of their support that we'd rather not talk about. But from the team themselves, and that they're steeped in history and steeped in European trophies, and probably one of the strongest Dutch teams ever. I'm not entirely sure what they're like at the minute, but they're certainly one of the biggest Dutch clubs, in that particular country. You see the former players they've had, the likes of Cruyff and boys like that, so it's just going to be fantastic for ourselves, to be rubbing shoulders with these guys. And, and these games will be anything but friendly games. These games will be competitive. There's going to be a trophy up for grabs there. So I doubt very much if any of the teams that are playing there will play a friendly. I know Celtic certainly don't play too many friendlies. We tend to go for it. So it's just brilliant exposure for the club. A chance for the fans in a beautiful part of the world. There will be people maybe out there on holiday at that time. So it'll be a chance for the fans to see Celtic on their doorstep. And the one thing that we will get good competitive friendlies. You can organise these games against these teams in the lower divisions and in Germany, and you can win 14-0 and all, but you don't really get a lot out of that. What do you really achieve from that apart from fitness? So not only will the players get to the fitness that they need to get for the new season, they will also get a competitive challenge as well. So they will be tested there. And when you look at the likes of Ajax and even Como, you're looking at teams there that you could be playing teams of that standard in Europe again next year at some point. So it'll be certainly a good warm up for the new season, and I'm sure everybody is looking forward to it.
I seen a wee comment in there earlier as well. I think it'd be quite funny if we managed to get a wee Vespa and put it in the trophy room, to replace the wee Lance Armstrong racer that they've got at Ibrox. Just that'd be quite funny one. So I'm looking forward to it, but hopefully the Ajax fans do behave themselves this time, and it can be a sort of friendly atmosphere. Or quite a few of them will be getting chucked in that bloody lake, so they will. Moving on, Celtic have been linked with linking up with Queen's Park. With something again we spoke about on Friday night was Celtic potentially linking up with Ayr Uniteds, the Dunfermlines and the Partick Thistles of this world, because we now have 3 ex-Celts in position there. But we know that Dane Murray had a successful loan spell there, and it's became apparent that we're seemingly going to be striking up a deal for some rule changes as well, which I will get into. So Celtic are reportedly in discussions with Queen's Park to form a cooperation agreement that would allow the loaning of young players between the two clubs. The talks come ahead of a planned change to the Scottish FA's player development framework. From June the 16th, top flight and championship sides will reportedly be permitted to enter formal cooperation agreements with clubs in League One, League Two, or the Highland and Lowland leagues. Very interesting. Under the new system, up to 3 players eligible for Scotland selection can be placed on a cooperation list, allowing them to move freely between the clubs throughout the loan spell, outside of the usual transfer windows. This approach provides greater flexibility for both clubs, with the parent club, in this case Celtic, retaining the ability to recall players at any time and send out replacements while continuing to cover the wages. Celtic already have history with Queen's Park, though, through previous loan deals. Defender Adam Montgomery and centre-back Dane Murray have both spent time at the Championship club in recent seasons, suggesting a positive relationship between the two. With the traditional loan system still in place, alongside the new cooperation model, Celtic are positioning themselves to maximise game time for their youth Scottish talent. It could be a significant boost to player development, particularly for those hovering on the fringes of first team action. Something that we touched on Friday night's podcast, lads. So the move mirrors a broader shift in Scottish football, aiming to improve the development for young domestic players by offering more meaningful minutes in competitive leagues. For Celtic, it's another step ensuring that academy products are not only progressing but thriving. Andy, we're massive shouters out in this podcast for the youth development, mate. We had a good chat about it on Friday night, and this has just fell into our lap perfectly here. It's good that they're sort of abolishing the sort of 2 club per season rule sort of thing with this, and letting youngsters go out and get first team football, mate. It's something that we spoke about on Friday massively, but it's great it's just fell into our laps at this precise time as well.
Aye, definitely, and I think it's obviously a better level of football that the players are getting shipped out to, if that's the standards that they're going to. I spoke about the whole kind of reserve league thing, that's never coming back, so this is obviously another avenue that we're going down, which is good to get these young players first team experience and a quality league compared to what they've been playing on. Just looking at a picture of Ian Murray's some unit, that boy, absolutely solid. Aye, it looks solid. Again, but one of the players we've just not seen enough of, so this is things like this is going to be, it's going to be good for the youngsters, the kind of B team, to get an opportunity, real first team football, where they're getting challenged every week and they're learning. So listen, it's only a positive as far as I'm concerned, because we simply don't bring through enough youth into our system overall. They either fall away or they end up just at other clubs, or the ones you think are going to make it, really talented ones, that for some reason their contracts are allowed to run to the very end and they just walk away for nothing. So, that will give us a chance to get a better look at them, and I think it gives them a better opportunity to really kind of bring their game on and get more experience. And it's a good deal for both parties as well. Particularly, just talking about that, was it Friday?
Yeah.
Friday we spoke about this, and you actually mentioned that. So maybe people are watching us.
I think everybody's watching us at the minute, Andy. So hopefully they were. But Paddy, it's a great idea that Celtic linking up with your Queen's Parks, your Partick Thistles, your Dunfermlines, or your Ayr Uniteds, like we said, and putting these young players on this corporation list, as we said. And if they're not getting the game time at your Ayers or your Particks or whatever, then they can go down the pyramid. They can go to League One, go to League Two, or Lenny, Mark Wilson or Scott Brown could then feed their youngsters down to these players and keep our players. It's a great sort of pyramid system for Scottish football, and it's good as well that they're not getting hampered by you can only move once or twice a season. You can move freely now, which is absolutely fantastic news for Scottish youth football.
Yeah, it's another great initiative, Scott. And what more can you say? Who's at the forefront of it again? Celtic Football Club. Again, we're the groundbreakers for so many things. We always have been. And again, it's just great to see Celtic being mentioned in this. And what we talked about the other night, this is the issue. We've seen players like Ben Doak, Karamoko Dembele, Daniel Kelly. We've seen them, Rocco Vata. These young lads they reach a stage in their career where they need to be playing, but because of the pressure of winning in the Celtic first team, there's just not the opportunity to give them. And then people automatically start blaming the club. They start slagging off the youth recruitment, the youth process, the pathway and stuff like that. And the pathway is there. It's just that there's that gap. Jerry touched on it the other night, where there used to be the old reserve league, and that's where you would have gone once you hit a certain age, right? You're maybe just not ready for the first team, but you're too old for the development squad. Yeah. And there's nowhere else to go. And that's why we have seen these young lads, because these young lads are watched, like the likes of Ben Doak, in his position out in the wing. Ben Doak is looking at he's looking at Dyson Maida, he's looking at Nicholas Kuhn, he's looking at Yang, and he's probably thinking, I'm never ever going to displace those guys, no matter how much I progress. So this is just a fantastic initiative, and it's going to be even more for ourselves because we've already established the link with Queen's Park. You've now got Mark Wilson in charge at Fairhill. You have Scott Brown in charge at Ayr, and you have our own Neil Lennon in charge at Dunfermline. So there's 4 teams that we're going to be able to, enter into an agreement for, and it's a win-win for them, and it's a win-win for us.
Yeah.
What they're getting young lads coming down who are champing at the bit, who need games, who want to try and further their career, and they want to make themselves good enough and ready to break into the Celtic first team. And what they will bring with them is they will bring the Celtic standards to Ayr, to Dunfermline, to Partick, to Queen's Park. They're not getting young guys that are just newly through the door. They're getting young guys that have been in the Celtic system for a number of years. So those young guys will be bringing that professionalism, that quality, that standard down to that division, and that can only be a good thing for them. So you can imagine, we'll use it. Whatever player you decide to use as an example, going down to Dunfermline, that those Dunfermline players are going to be rubbing shoulders with a Celtic player, in their training sessions and in their games. And that's why I'm saying to you, they will be bringing that standard. These young lads have been at Lennoxtown under Brendan Rodgers, under Ange Postecoglou, so they will be very, very well attuned as to how the system works and how it works to be a full-time professional at Celtic. As we said before, there's more to it than just being a player. You need to know how to handle yourself off the pitch. You need to know how to look after your body, both physically and mentally. And that's a standard that these young lads will be bringing down. And then what do we get from that? We get exactly what we're missing at the minute. We'll say, for argument's sake, we have a big Scottish Cup quarter-final coming up next Saturday. And we've maybe got a couple of young players that Brendan would like to give a few minutes to, but it's a massive game. You could be going to Tynecastle away to Hearts. You could be going to Easter Road to play Hibs. He just simply can't risk those young players in that environment. It can go one of two ways. They could be absolutely brilliant, or they could be swallowed up with it. So that's what we're saying. They're missing that opportunity to get game time. So what better place to go than the likes of Partick Thistle, Dunfermline, Queen's Park, wherever, Ayr United, to be watching Scott Brown, and again, if you look at some of the players that we actually, that we had out on loan there not so long ago, Christopher Ayer came back an absolutely different player from Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
Ryan Christie from Aberdeen, player of the year, and this is what we're saying. And that Derek McInnes was managing Kilmarnock at the time, or one of the times. So do you think for one second that Derek McInnes is going to do Celtic any favours in terms of, reporting on how a player's getting on or whatever? So, Scott Brown will know. He will know what to tell Brendan. He'll be honest with Brendan. If Brendan asks Scott Brown, listen, do you think this young guy's ready for the first team? Scott Brown will tell him. He will absolutely tell him.
I don't know if you've heard the wee whispers that Ayer could be coming back to Celtic. Do you think that's true? And do you think that could be a goer? Just when you mentioned them there.
I've heard that too, Andy. I've heard it as well, but I'm not entirely sure, Andy. I don't know what to make of it. I honestly don't know what to make of it. With all due respect to him, Andy, he was one that we all identified pretty quickly, that I thought he was one who downed tools and in that season, and just basically, and let us all down, in that season. He wasn't the only one. So do you know what? He wouldn't be for me, Andy, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen. But he has definitely developed into probably a more rounded player than he ever was when he played for Celtic. What I didn't like about Ayer at that time was I didn't think he was physical enough. I think he was a bit soft when it came to to putting his body in where it hurts and stuff. But I'm not sure, Andy. I've just heard the rumours as well. But no, just to get back onto the point, as I say, that's just the players. It's just a win-win for both clubs. Would, and the thing is, Scotty says, the other thing is, we had Adam Montgomery there a couple of years ago, where we had a bit of an injury crisis and we couldn't bring Adam Montgomery back. He was on loan until the end of the season, or he was on loan to Christmas. This new initiative will allow players maybe to come back if we need them. And as I say, you're now going to be giving young lads an opportunity to play, and that league there. You saw it this year how competitive that league can be. You saw it with Falkirk and Wraith Rovers, Partick Thistle, those teams, all Ayr United, all going for it right up to the playoffs. And you saw the teams who've come up. So it's a very, very competitive league. And I would like to think that any young player that's maybe in need of games and need of match practice, to go down to Scott Brown, to go down to Mark Wilson, to go to Neil Lennon and Dunfermline, it can only be a good thing for ourselves, because these guys will, first and foremost, they'll be looking after their own club, but they will have Celtic. They will have Celtic at heart. There's no doubt about that. So it can only be a good thing, Scott.
Aye, bang on, mate. Absolutely bang on. I've noticed Jade and James have put a couple of comments in there that they're missing the soaps just to watch us live this evening. There's over 100 of you watching just now as well. So if this is your first time watching the podcast, please like, share, subscribe to the YouTube page. Paddy, we've got people watching from Planet Celtic as well. Can you just give the Planet Celtic page on Facebook a wee shout out as well, pal?
No bother, Scott. Yep. Anybody watching here maybe for the first time, on our Facebook page, it's called Planet Celtic. We're up close to 70,000 followers and building day by day. And we're working very closely with the guys, all of us here at the Leaf Clover Podcast. So all the content that you see on YouTube, you will see all that on Planet Celtic as well. So if you haven't already had a chance to go across there, just go onto Facebook, have we look at the page, and you'll get good Celtic content on there every single day. And don't forget to hit the like button and share and subscribe. And most important of all, tell all your pals and spread the word, because we are growing and growing, and we're just the same as the Four Leaf Clover Podcast. We're only going up. The only way is up for us. So let's just keep it going, folks.
You just need people that press like on your Facebook page, Paddy, to press subscribe on your YouTube. Would be
That's it. That's all. 2 words.
We'd take over, lads. We'd take over. So you'll notice there's 2 of our panel members missing this evening. Earl Jerry's very busy, so we'll hopefully get Earl Jerry back on Friday night. Earl Michelle has decided to have her food off the podcast this evening, and she's out having a Chinese with her family. But hopefully she's going to jump on in the next sort of 10 minutes or so. So all you young lads out there, just calm down, all right? She's going to appear at some point. Don't worry about it. So moving on, Dyson Maeda, Andy has been talking about his future at Celtic today. He's over in Japan at one of his old clubs, and the man from Japan, our player of the year, has been talking about his future. He said, "I was in great form this season, both personally and so were the team. So I'd like to keep that going next season. I am who I am because of my team, Celtic. I'd like to thank my teammates and above all my family for supporting me so far. I'd be happy if I could score more goals next season. I hope the number of goals will continue to increase." Maeda's comments will go down well with Brendan Rodgers and the Celtic support, especially after the season he has just had. Standout moments included netting the winning penalty against the Rangers in December's Premier Sports Cup final and scoring against Kilmarnock to become the first player since the King of Kings in 2004 to score in 8 straight starts at Celtic Park. With Maeda leading the line and bringing his trademark energy off the ball, Celtic's attack will be all the stronger if he stays on for next season. Adam Idah and Johnny Kenny are the other striker options currently in the squad, but the club may still look to bring in another forward before the new season. Having been given a break by the Japanese national team after early World Cup qualification, Maeda's focus now shifts fully to Celtic. His aim is clear: to push on, score even more goals, and drive the team to further success in the coming year. Andy, that's great news coming out of Japan today that the wee man has been chatting about his future at Celtic.
Aye, I think we were maybe a wee bit concerned. There was talk that certain teams could be in, and weren't quite sure if he was happy or no. I think he's no really kind of said anything negative about Celtic or really gave any. The fact that he hadn't really said anything at all is probably made people think that, there could be something happening there, because he's no kind of confirmed or denied anything. Somebody could just say, Dyson could go this summer, and all of a sudden everybody's just got to jump on board and have an opinion on it, and it's just purely made up. He's still under contract with us, so technically he's not going anywhere unless it really suits us. And I think the Japanese in general, you could maybe look at Kyogo as forcing his way out. But I think in general, they're very respectful nation, the way they go about things, the way they look at their work life and all that, they give it total commitment. They're all very respectful to their employers and stuff like that. And so, but I think if you look at obviously Dyson's season that he's had, he's been absolutely superb. He's been vital for us this season. He's been exciting. And I think we've all grew as a fan base along with him, when it comes to his finishing this season has really, really improved. And the fact that he's been chopping and changing in position as well and still coming away with the goals is testament to him. And we've spoken about it many times, the different things that he brings to a game, not just goals, but everything else that comes with it. He's a very unique player in that way that, he'd be a big, big miss to any side. I'm just the longer he's at Celtic, I'm quite happy with that because he's like two players in the one strip for me. He does so much for the team, and I say that many, many times, as everybody knows themselves, that he would be a huge, huge miss if he was not on our team. It would be a massive gap, massive void to fill. So it's looking positive with the comments he's come out with. So that's a good thing. That's one heart rate down a wee bit. So we'll see what happens the rest of the summer with the rest of the team, and obviously players coming in as well. Because it becomes silly season. All sorts of people are lengthways, and then it gets to July, August, and they're still not in the door. Lastminute.com again. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened as well.
Aye, Paddy, what a sort of sliding doors moment with Dyson Maeda at the minute. He's got 2 years left in his contract, so technically he either signs a new deal this summer or we cash in on him. That's basically where it's got to be. But the signs coming from Japan are positive. We know how much he loves it at Celtic. We know how much his family love it in Glasgow. He's always cutting about Glasgow with his weddings and things like that. And he's always out and about and stuff. Just good news, good comments, and hopefully he gets that new deal signed, mate, this summer.
It's fantastic. The comments there are so positive, Scotty. And as Andy said, it's not that we're worried. We weren't really worried about it. But, the great thing is that he's just, you can just see the humility in his comments. The guy's had an unbelievable season, winning trophies for Celtic, helping us to the glory, performing out of his skin in the Champions League, probably alerting other teams to his talents and stuff like that there as well along the way. But it's just he's not looking to take any personal credit for that whatsoever. As a matter of fact, he's actually sort of saying that he wishes he wishes and hopes that he does better next season. But you can see in that one comment that he made, I am where I am because of Celtic and his teammates. So just lovely comments, from a very grounded and humble individual. And the one thing I have to say, I'm not that overly concerned because I just know, as we've said before, if you could just try for, if the supporters could just try for 2 seconds and put themselves in the shoes of the player, as we've said before, these guys are human beings first and foremost. Yes, we love them, we revere them, we cheer them on and all, but they're still human beings. And I said before, I wasn't in the least bit concerned because the guy has just had another addition to his family on the other side of the world. He's had to travel out there. He's had to get a special dispensation from the Japanese squad to give him a bit of time with his family. So I would imagine that at this present minute in time, Dyson Maeda is thinking about nothing other than just spending time with his family. And when the time comes then to return to Glasgow, that's all that will be on his mind at the minute. He's not interested in a big move because, do you know what? As we said before, if Dyson Maeda ever decides to move, there will be no shortage of suitors for him all over Europe. He's one of a kind. We have been very, very fortunate to watch the development of him. As we've said before, it's actually quite funny when you watch some of the videos from Ange's first season and second season, just the difference in the player that Dyson Maeda was then. We used to talk about, he was lightning fast, but, so was Forrest Gump. You know what I mean? And that's what it was like. The guy couldn't finish his dinner. You know what I mean? And sometimes he got on the end of things and missed chances that you thought, how has he actually missed that? It was actually harder to do.
Running too fast.
He's actually harder to do what he's done there. But to watch the development of him, particularly, you know, as I say, in Ange's last year and Brendan's first season, and you can just see the influence. You can see the influence, and you can see the work that's been done with the guy off the field. He's a far more clever player now. You know, whereas before he would just have ran about for 90 minutes, but now you can see him he uses his head now a lot more. And for me, the biggest improvement in him is his finishing ability. You know, he has given us something there that we didn't think he had in him. When Kyogo left, we were all worried when Kyogo left last Christmas. You know, but for Dyson Maida, the goals that he scored this season and the way he weighed in with goals, and you know, it just shows you the development of the guy. So it's just fantastic, Scott, to see. It's a big weight off everybody's mind. Because, as I say, you just never know in football. But I was pretty confident that Dyson will be just having a nice, relaxing summer with his family. They've got a wee new child in the house there. They'll be getting that child settled and stuff like that. And Dyson will be coming back to Glasgow raring to go. So it's good news for Celtic and good news for Dyson Maida.
Hopefully he's picking up some of the Japanese batteries. Sorry, Andy.
Sorry, mate. I think my internet might have went a wee bit there. I just want to touch on the fact that he's been interviewed when he's back home, and he's seen his vein, and you know, he's in a happy place. I think if that interview had taken place before that happened, before he went back home, it might have been a wee bit more kind of sticky. So, you know, it's a good time to interview him when he's just seen his newborn, spending time with his family, he's back home in his home country. So
the human side of it, Andy, that's, you know, people forget that, you know. And listen, these guys are making vast sums of money that we can only ever dream about. But, you know, deep down, it's still the same thing, Andy. You know what it's like when a new baby comes into the house, and you know, Scott, you're the same. We've all had kids, we've had grandchildren, you know, so you know exactly what that is, and it doesn't matter what money you're making. It doesn't really matter. You know, you're still trying to be there for your family. You're still trying to get into a new routine, and that's the reason why they did what they did. They wanted the child to be born in Japan. That's the decision they obviously made. So they went out there and made sure the wife was there whenever the child was born. So these are all things, as I say, that are all part of all of us. You know, the wee decisions that you have to make. It's the human side that people sometimes don't see. You know, and they just seem to think that because somebody's making 60 grand a week or whatever, that their life's perfect. You know, it's not. Life still goes on for many a footballer, and the money is lovely and the money is a part of it. But you know, there's a big part of their life that still is their private life and is their family life, and they still spend more time with their family and their private life than they do with Celtic and the supporters. So, you know, you have to just give them that. You have to give them that time.
Aye, certainly do, lads. Certainly do. Well said. So before we move on to our last man standing section, which is left back position, number 3 position this evening, I've got one more subject to chat about, ladies and gentlemen.
Keep the best to last, Scotty, don't they?
I'll always keep the best to last, mate. You know that.
You're going to talk about the number 2 position, aren't you?
No. So there's been one managerial appointment that we can talk about, and one that looks like it's about to happen, possibly as we're live on air. So the first one is ex-Celtic, ex-Rangers, and ex-Dundee United player. Very baffling, Andy. Stephen Presley has ended up as Dundee manager. Now, like our friends across the city, the Dundee fans are up in arms about this, and 99.9% of them don't want him as their manager either. Very, very strange decision, mate, isn't it?
I don't know how they came to this decision, to be honest with you. I thought Bruni might have been in for a shout there. And the interesting thing about that is that once they lost out for getting promoted, the chance of getting promoted, Bruni was questioned about, you know, his future, and he was a wee bit standoffish, you know. He says, well, we'll just need to wait and see. So it looked to me as if he was obviously keeping his options open. Presley's just came way out I don't know. Where was he? He was working down south somewhere, was he not?
I was at Brentford, mate, but I think it's something to do with Gordon Strachan. I think Strachan's still the sort of director of football there, and I think they're kind of very pally, so I think that's where it's happened.
I know Pals Act that's happened.
Coventry thing, innit?
Aye, very, very unpopular. Obviously, an ex-Arab, you know, coming to manage their team. But, things like that are, if he goes in there and actually does a good job, then things like that are quickly forgotten. I only kind of, we even happened to Tony Dock. What happened? Because I thought he had them playing some really good stuff as well at times. A good manager. I thought he was a good manager. So that's a strange one. I don't really know anything about Presley, obviously as a player, but as a coach or what his thoughts are. I've seen him on a couple of podcasts. Looks a bit of a weirdo, to be honest with you. Bit of a strange guy. I would have went for him, not being biased. Well, maybe I am, but I think Bruni would have brought that youth, that excitement, new ideas, and I think he's nothing against there, but I think there's bigger things waiting for Bruni. That would have been a fantastic opportunity, I think.
Yeah, it just came out of left field, Paddy, really, this week, was that Stephen Presley one. We're only talking about him, there's a few comments, we're talking about him because he's ex-Celtic, at the end of the day, and, there's other young managers, that have got jobs elsewhere. Maybe even Neil Lennon would have been a better fit for Dundee, but just, it's mental that he's managed to, he's like Craig Levein in a way, isn't he? How's he managed to get another job in Scottish football? It's madness.
It's a very strange one, Scott. I have to admit, and I'm just trying to work out. It would be nice to see what people think. Is this as strange as him being, given the Dundee job? Is that equally as strange as him signing for Celtic at the time he signed as a player? I would hazard a guess that this is probably even stranger. I agree with James and one or two other contributors there. I don't know what Tony Docherty did. I don't know what he did wrong. I would honestly love to see, and I'd love some of the Dundee fans to tell me what their genuine expectations are. What is it they think? What is it they think that Tony Docherty didn't do well? Surely are there Dundee fans there that think that Dundee should be challenging for the top 3 or 4 places in Scotland? Do they think they should be? Because I just don't know. When you look at the size of the club and when you look at the financial muscle of some of the bigger clubs, I just would love to know what the genuine expectations are at the start of the season for Dundee Football Club and teams like them. When you look at St Johnstone have gone down after 17 years in the Premier League, Ross County have gone down. Tony Docherty kept them in the Premier League. And I'm pretty certain that would probably have been one of the remits at the beginning of the season. First and foremost, we need to stay in the division, and then let's maybe see what we can do. And I can't think of anything more that the guy could have done. Really good, experienced coach, not only as an assistant coach but also as a coach in his own right. But as you say, Gordon Strachan still has an influence and has a role with the backroom at Dundee. And again, it's Presley and him go back a long way. So it's just a very, very strange one. And I always say you have to try and bring the supporters along with you. I go back to when we took on Ange Postecoglou. None of us had heard of Ange Postecoglou, and there was rightly a lot of hesitancy about us accepting Big Ange. But it's just I just don't know. I don't know what Dundee expect here. Not only for Stephen Presley to come completely from left field, but an ex-Dundee United player, an ex-Hearts player. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. So. Listen, I don't wish the guy any malice. I hope he does a good job. But I think he has his work cut out for Dundee. But I just don't understand just what Penelope Pitstop says there. I just don't see I don't honestly know what their expectations and what they really think that Dundee are capable of achieving at the present time with the financial climate that we're working. I just don't see what it is. I don't know. Do they seriously think that Dundee are going to challenge for the championship or win one of the cups or whatever? I just don't see it, so it is a very, very strange one. But for me, Scotty, it's even more strange because I don't think Tony Docherty did anything wrong that would have led to him leaving his job. I absolutely do not. So it's just a weird one.
Yeah, absolutely mental. It's jobs for the boys, and that's all it is, lads. Let's be honest. Let's call it as it is. So if 99.9% of Dundee fans didn't want Stephen Presley as a manager, there's another wee team in Scottish football as well that are close to appointing a manager that they don't want Andy. Pretty unbelievable news, really. A takeover of massive proportions, the massive £20 million injection, wealth off the radar. The Ancelottis of the world, Jose Mourinho was getting linked as well at the beginning. Every man in his dug was getting linked with the job across the city. And it looks like they're going for the main man himself, Russell Martin. I have to confess, I watched a Rangers podcast last night for a laugh, and 99.9% of their fans do not want this appointment. They're embarrassed. Is this their level now, Andy? Is this where they're actually at? And, nobody wants the job. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I know. It's. I was going to say something there. I'm not going to. I'm not even going to do that avenue. I'll say something else. So it's like, I put this on X just maybe an hour and a half ago or something, an hour ago. I says it's like the Rangers' job to me is a wee boy running about with a stick with shite on the end of it, running out there, everybody going, you want this, you want that, and they're all running away saying, go off. That's the Rangers' job to me. Nobody wants it. It's shite on a stick, and that's quite a few. It's turned on. Listen, Martin, it looks as if Martin's going to get it. A guy that's got a very strange record, when it comes to his percentages. I know we don't want to delve too much into it. Basically, you're just there at the push at them, not to pat the back or, really what I want to do is just poke them with a stick with a shite on the end of it. That's what I want to do. It's the banter gears continue. They'll continue to roll on. They're in turmoil. That particular podcast, I'm a big fan of that podcast. And just incidentally, the man that does it, Martin, actually looks a wee bit like him as well, I suppose. So you always get a good laugh on that.
Maybe it is him.
Quality. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. So I think the banter gears are. Listen, the guy could come in and stabilise them, and which is fair enough. And they're going to do this and do that, but they're on the basis that Celtic's going to stand still, and we simply won't stand still. So we will still continue to roll on. And we just spoke about it earlier on. I did say it might get to a point where the window's almost shut and we're panic buying. I don't think it is. It might be a good time to push us on a wee bit, but we shouldn't really need that. When you think about it, we should be proactive, no reactive. We keep saying it. So we need to up our game, maybe. But it certainly looks to be a poison chalice to a lot of people out there that there's been... it's coming and going between probably two and three people, two main people, the Italian guy and obviously Russell Martin. It's a very strange situation that these billionaires can attract a manager in to take on this project. It's a strange one, but it's funny. I find it funny.
Paddy, it's mental, isn't it? That, you look at your Michael Beals, you look at your Cachinas, you look at, this guy's on the same sort of level as him. They just got rid of Barry. He must be fuming, by the way, that they've, went and appointed this guy whose win percentage is probably worse than his.
Yeah.
It's just baffling, but it's great news for us, mate. Get the guy in the door. Can't he wait? He'll be sacked by Christmas.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic viewing. It's compulsive viewing, Scotty. I was one who just stood back with a takeover. I never really got involved in the talk about it because, when you look, as I said to you, you look about credibility and you look at caliber, and when you look at the guy that was involved with Leeds United and the other guy who's Andrew Kavanagh, these guys represent serious muscle. And I just couldn't quite work out, how have you attached yourself to such a basket case of a club and a basket case of a club financially? So this one again, when you talk about credibility and, what have you achieved in the game? Well, what's this guy done in the game? So I'll just give you a wee rundown on as a player. He was born in England, but he was eligible to play for Scotland, and he got 20 odd caps for Scotland. But as a player, he played for Wycombe Wanderers. He played for Peterborough. He played for Norwich. He went on loan to Rangers, and his playing career ended up at Walsall and MK Dons. He then moved into management, and he's had 3 jobs as a manager. First job was MK Dons. His second job was Swansea, and his last one was Southampton. So, looking at that, possibly one club on the entire list there, Southampton in the Premiership. You know, it just reeks of the lack of credibility. That's exactly what it reeks of, lack of credibility. You know, and we went from, you know, the names at the start: Jose Mourinho, Steven Gerrard, Sean Dyche was mentioned, and the last one was Carlo Ancelotti's son, David Ancelotti, he was going to swap the Copacabana beach with his dad in the Brazil national team for
Govan.
For Govan. Do you know what I mean? It just beggars belief. And then to crown it all off, the crown and glory of it all was, not only was Ancelotti going to come and give all that up, but he's going to bring Luka Modric with him.
Oh dear.
Listen, it's just ridiculous, guys. It is ridiculous. And as I've said to you before, I'm very fortunate I've got 1 or 2 Rangers fans as friends, and they're genuine Rangers men. Just like I'm a Celtic man. And they're embarrassed. They're absolutely embarrassed at the way, you know, the way this whole thing's been handled. Listen, a takeover from the San Francisco 49ers, they're going to plow millions and millions into the club. They're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do the other. Surely somewhere along the line, the first thing they would have been saying was, right, in order to finish this off, we need a figurehead of a manager here. We need somebody who's been over the course. We need a proven winner. We need somebody that we can slot in there. If money's no object, why didn't they go for Pep Guardiola if money's no object? You know, why didn't they go for Jose Mourinho if money's no object? You know, so it's just, the whole thing just absolutely reeks of Craig White all over again. All the promises that were made, and you know, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to do the other. And I said it before and I'll say it again. At the present time, the man in the Rangers dugout is not the problem. The guy in the Celtic dugout is Rangers' biggest problem. And while that situation continues to be the case, I honestly don't think it'll matter who is in the Rangers dugout. It's the man in the Celtic dugout that's the problem. He's absolutely dominating Scottish football. He's dominating them, and he shows no signs of slowing down or abating on that in any way, shape, or form. Brendan is here for at least another 12 months. So I don't know where they go with this appointment, but there's been nothing there. You know, there's absolutely nothing there that would fill me with confidence in anything. The takeover is one thing, but Russell Martin, you know, come on, guys. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, it just reeks of nothing. There's nothing there to suggest. What has this guy done? What has he achieved? And he's going to be the one that's going to be paraded as the figurehead of this brand new takeover, this whole new regime that's going to come in and sweep Celtic out of the way. It's just, they live in cloud cuckoo land, you know. And as I say, I think the writing should have been on the wall for them last week when you saw the first announcement that there was going to be 20 million invested in the club. 20 million. We said it last week. We paid 20 million for Adam Ida and Arne Engels. So we paid 20 million for 2 players. And probably this summer we might spend more than that on a couple of players this summer. Brendan Rodgers might decide to push the boat out even further in an attempt to see us go further in Europe next year. So 20 million isn't going to cut it, guys. Simple as that.
We get more for a kit deal.
That's it. So I just don't understand it, guys. I cannot understand it at all. And you know, they've just gone from being on the highs of high with this whole takeover, and this is going to put us back to where we belong at the top of European football and all this here, to coming out and say maybe tomorrow morning you'll see Russell Martin being appointed as the new manager. Unbelievable.
Aye. Hilarious. Let's watch it all unfold over the next few days, and hopefully we can have an even bigger laugh about it on Friday night. So that's us, ladies and gentlemen. We've just got one more thing to do, and it is...
Last man standing.
Now, although we are missing our Michelle and our Jerry, it's actually worked out quite well tonight for the last man standing because we've only got 2 in the panel. So there could go to a wee decider. And if that's the case, then we will need your help in the comments. So please get involved. If you haven't seen this segment before, it's called The Last Man Standing. We are going to pick our 4 Leaf Clover Podcast Celtic 11 over the pre-season, over the next few weeks on the podcast. We've already picked our goalkeeper, which was Artur Boruc, and we have picked our right back, who was the great Danny McGrain. Now, there will be no Lisbon Lions in this team because it would be the Lisbon Lions with probably Kenny Dalglish, Henrik Larsson and Danny McGrain. That would be probably it. So we've kept the Lions out of it, and what we've did is we've picked players that we have seen in our lifetime, basically, on the panel. So that's the way we're going to do it. Like I said, plunge 2 shite players there. That's the ones. So tonight we're going to go old school. We're going to go 1 to 11. So number 1 was Boruc, number 2 was McGrain, and this evening we're going for our number 3, which is the left back. So first up for you this evening, Andy, I've got a man who thankfully and done our promo for us for this actually. He was the penalty king at Celtic in the early 80s. Good friend of the show, 3 Towns man from Ayrshire, from Saltcoats. Mark Reid, mate. So Mark Reid this evening is up against Lee Naylor.
Ooh.
Mark Reid versus Lee Naylor.
Obviously, I done research when we were talking to you, Mark, but I was too young to really remember him. He was probably on his way down to Charlton, like when I first started kind of watching. I was about 84, 85, before I really kind of remember. That time would be 84, 85, I would imagine. But we know all about Mark. Naylor, aye, obviously I know Merriam, I've seen Merriam. I'm going to stick loyal to Mark and go with Mark Reid.
He's sticking with our Mark Reid. So, Patrick, who are you picking out of those 2? Are you picking Mark Reid? Hopefully you're watching as well, Mark. That would be nice. He knows that we're going to be doing this evening. So if you are, sir, then good to see you. And Paddy, Mark Reid or Lee Naylor?
Hi, Scotty. I was fortunate to have watched both players. Watched them both very closely. For me, Mark Reid, growing up, a young lad. So when Mark Reid was playing for Celtic, I was probably 15, 16, 14, whatever. I remember him in that team with, Charlie Nicholas, Frank McGarvey, George McCluskey, Murdo McLeod, Davy Provan, Tommy Burns, some fantastic players. And Mark Reid was just, in my opinion, he was a wee steady Eddie left back, just real good, steady player, never let you down, and was a cracking penalty kick taker. Saw him score some lovely penalties in very important games. I remember a few against Aberdeen when the Aberdeen team of Miller, McLeish, Leighton, who were dominating at that time as well under Alex Ferguson. Mark Reid was a fantastic wee player. Lee Naylor, great player, good left foot. But again, how can you put it? We were signing players from lower divisions than we would normally have signed at that stage. Lee Naylor was he probably fell into that category. Decent enough player at left back and stuff. But for me, just because I seen Mark Reid and I knew how important he was to Celtic at that time, I'll stick with Mark Reid.
Well done. So, Mark, if you are watching, you keep the number 3 jersey for now, sir. He's up next, Andy, against a cult hero at Celtic, I would say. A bit of a nutter, probably along the lines of Artur Boruc. He was Stefan Mahe. Mark Reid or Stefan Mahe? Get your comments in.
When he came out hairdo, it was before a Celtic Rangers game, and he came out there. I'm pretty sure it was before one of the games, and he came out, and I'm like, what the fuck's he done with his hair? It looked as if he'd done it himself. He probably did as well. He was that mad.
Looked like he done it himself.
Aye, that's quite a good player. Good pedigree. He came for PSG, didn't he? He played for PSG. But aye, absolute bonkers. I bet you're a madman, to be honest with you, but a good player. I'm going to. I don't know. I'm going to stick with Mark Reed.
Oh, okay. Patrick, you have the deciding vote, or are we going to go give this one to the panel to decide? Who is it you're going for, mate? Mark Reed or Stephen Mahe?
Oh, again, Stephen Mahe, an equally favourite player of mine at the time. Loved his attitude, loved his feistiness, but he lacked that discipline, Scott. He just lacked that discipline for me. You saw the way he lost the head in that Rangers game and got himself sent off whenever we were already in trouble. Cracking player, don't get me wrong, and a good guy and all that there. But just I think Mark Reed, as I say, the more rounded player. Mahe going forward, yeah. Mark Reed going forward too, but Mark was a better defender. Mark was a better defender than Stephen Mahe. So for me, it's Mark Reed again.
Mark Reed keeps the jersey. I hope he is watching. He's absolutely flying here.
You'll be on that Betis. Somebody's asking.
That's what I was just going to reply to there, mate. It's Real Betis. A couple of Spanish guys came in and watched Glasgow Celtic back in the day, and that's where the colours and stuff come from. So Real Betis. So Mark Reed keeps the jersey. And we know who Paddy's going to pick here, Andy, but I'll give it to you first, sir. Is it Mark Reed or is it Anton Rogan? The nemesis for our Patrick.
Aye. A player I did see. I'm still sticking with Mark Reed, I'm sorry, but aye. And as I said, I didn't see a lot, if any, of Mark. Obviously, I've seen footage. I'm going to stick with Mark.
Mark Reed is he the new Chris Morris here?
Maybe.
Posters Mark Reed in your wall beside you there, Andy, in that office. Paddy, is it Mark Reed or is it the man from your side and Andy's side of the water this evening as well, actually, Anton Rogan?
Andy's an adopted Irish man tonight, so listen, I can't allow the Irish thing to cloud my judgment here. Anton Rogan again, a cracking player. My memories of Anton Rogan really are the centenary year. Just his performances up and down the wing there, and he was a massive part of that. But outside of that, what much did he do? Very much after that, you know what I mean? So again, I'm going to have to stick with Mark Reed because Mark was just a fantastic wee player, one of my favourite players growing up, and just for his longevity with Celtic and the fact that he was there for a good number of years, and he played in some great Celtic teams and has some fantastic memories, fantastic matches. So for me, I'm sorry, Anton, but it has to be Mark Reed again.
That's that Stena Line season ticket getting bloody voided again. So it is. Super Mark Reed, the penalty king, still keeps the jersey, but he's up now against a guy who could take a set piece, so he could. And what a left foot he had. He was our George Alberts of the time, I would say. Shuggy, Darius Dovcek, what a left peg he had. It is Mark Reed up against Darius Dovcek, Andy.
He was a good player. They're an absolute rocket in him. This is a toughie because this is now where this is where Mark's journey ends. Unfortunately, when it comes to this battle of left backs, great player, fantastic player. I'm going to go with Shuggy.
Oh, that's it. That's you off Mark's Christmas card list now, Andy. That's you chucked. Paddy, Mark Reid or Darius Dovcik?
I think we're going to the viewers on this one, Scott. Dovcik, cracking player, wand of a left foot, scored some memorable goals. Unfortunately for me, didn't play in a great era at Celtic at the time. Didn't play, we weren't in the best shape at that time. We were being absolutely dominated by Rangers at the time. So again, I'm just basing this purely on ability, both as a defender and going forward. I still maintain Darius Dovcik was a fantastic player going forward, but he was very suspect as a defender. Got caught out of position too many times. And as I said, Mark Reid was a steady Eddie. So again, maybe Dovcik's left foot, maybe more than Mark's, but Mark could take a penalty. I do recall Darius Dovcik missing a penalty in the cup final against Aberdeen.
That's right, we spoke about it last week or the week before it was.
So you're going to have to go to the viewers on this one, Scotty. I'm keeping it with Mark Reid.
Right, it's very tight with the viewers here, so I need the comments to come flying in. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Mark Reid or Darius Dovcik? I'll go off the next 10 comments. The viewers will decide who are we going for, folks. Mark Reid or Darius Dovcik? Get your answers in. It's very tight, man. It's very, very tight. Let's have a look.
There's one each.
Reid, Shuggy. Oh, Michelle's Mark Reid. 2-1.
4-1.
Oh, 4-1.
6-1. 7-1.
Right. It's done. It's done and dusted. Mark Reid still. He's logged back in, Andy. He's logged back in that shoe after the Christmas card list. Don't be doing a Jerry now and bloody picking him next, right? You can't get back to him now.
I only done that to revitalise the comments and get them.
Oh, right. Tell it to Mr. Reid. Tell it to Mr. Reid. Mark Reid.
It's not who's with the green door in it. Is it a blue door?
That's what my father told me, the old bugger. Mark Reid still astonishingly keeps the number 3 jersey. He's batted off 4 competitors already, and he has got 5 to go now. Next up for Mark Reid is Andy. Tosh McKinley. Mark Reid or Tosh McKinley?
Aye. Tosh was a cracking player for us, a guy at... Did he start at Dundee? He certainly played in that game at Albert Kids.
Dundee, Hearts, aye.
Dundee Hearts, yeah.
I think he actually came off and Albert Kid came on. I think he actually replaced Tosh to come on Albert Kid, if I remember right. But I obviously played at Hearts. I think he was at Hearts for a few years as well. What age did they join Celtic? Must have been 30.
Was it, aye?
Late 20s, maybe, aye, going on 30. But I can't servant in the club. And obviously, somebody else that's, I think he's there in Vegas, actually. I think he's at the convention earlier. Somebody that's always running about I don't think he's got his suit on earlier, though. Yeah, I think he's more casual. Your tosses, the waistcoat and the full shebang on. I thought he was a fantastic player. Even you would say towards the latter end of his career, still very athletic. I thought always put on a good crossbow and stuff like that. He played in that side, especially kind of under Tommy. It was really exciting football. We were quite unfortunate by the amount of draws we had. But very, very exciting football. He played under Tommy Burns and a cracking team. One of my favourite teams actually was that era. For me, I'm going to go for Tosh here, and I apologise, Mark. This is the second time. I had you on the, I had you up against the wall and had you in my sights, and you just dodged out the way. But unfortunately, this time, I'm not missing.
Happy days. So, Paddy, Tosh McKinley, or Mark Reid?
Tough one, Scott. Very, very tough one. I've been fortunate to meet Tosh a few times. He's a great guy. His after dinner speeches are legendary. What a left foot that guy had. The memories of Big Pierre and that ball. just right on his head. Again, do you know the thing about Tosh was, again, it was a poor team he was in. Not necessarily a poor team, but it was a poor era for us. We struggled big time. That Scottish Cup was the first trophy, we think, and it was 6 years we had gone without a trophy. For us it was bad. Tosh was a fantastic player, fantastic servant, great. He had a great affinity with Tommy Burns and was a fantastic left back and stuff. But for me, again, for winning trophies and being part of that era, I have to stick with Mark Reid.
Wow. Okay. So one each. I don't even have to go to a vote on the comments because it is unanimous. And Tosh McKinley has ripped the jersey away from our Mark Reid. Mark, you had a great run, sir.
Yeah.
But it's all over. Tosh McKinley now has the number 3 jersey. He's now up against a gentleman, Andy, who has the number 3 jersey as we speak. Tosh McKinley or Greg Taylor?
Oh, two very, very different left backs, I would say. I like Greg. I think we've spoken about it many times. He gives you 100% commitment. Actually, a lot better player than what he's given credit for. Actually played that inverted role under Ange and kind of flourished. Continues to do it to this day. How long's Greg been with us for? 4 years, is it?
Something like that, may I?
Or five maybe even 5. I think he's done really well for a player that was with Kilmarnock. Was kind of off the radar. I think most people were kind of surprised when we did sign him, but came in and done very well. I think there's times that he has kind of struggled in games, basically to do with his positional sense, I think, and obviously his height doesn't help in certain situations when you're up against a physical player, and the ball is getting landed on your head at the very start of just about every team you play. That's the area they're putting you under pressure all the time, and then the crowd's on your back because you've done it a couple of times, and it's so he said tough times at Celtic, very successful times at Celtic. A very good player who I do rate. I don't think he's going to stay at Celtic. I think he's talking about going to Greece or something. But I'm going to stick with Tosh. I'm going to stick with Tosh here, mate. Aye.
Okay. Paddy, are you throwing this one out to the panel again? Are you thinking Tosh McKinley, or has Greg Taylor done enough in the 6 years that he's been at Celtic, mate, for you?
No, for me, it's Greg Taylor, Scotty. It's just based on the way the game has changed. Tosh McKinley was an attacking mind, but a stay-at-home left back. And I'm not sure that Tosh McKinley could do the role that Greg Taylor does in that position. I'm not sure that Tosh would be actually suited to coming in and doing that inverted fullback role. And when you look at the servant that Greg Taylor has been to Celtic, and we're just in the middle of a trophy-laden era, and Tosh, as I say, was just he was in a Celtic team at that particular time that we were struggling very, very badly. So for me, on that basis, just on the fact that he's just won so many trophies and he's an important part of the team, I'm going to stick with Greg Taylor. Yeah,
and he just edges it on the comments as well, I would say. So Greg Taylor has taken the jersey off Tosh McKinley. So there's 3 left backs left to choose from. He's got 3 to get past. And the next one, Andy, that he has to go up against is Emilio Izagirre.
A man who Kieran Tierney took the jersey off because unfortunately he got injured, and that's how Tierney got his opportunity and took it and never looked back. But what a great wee player!
Yeah,
Izagirre was fantastic. Did you know win Player of the Year or up for? Was he up for Player of the Year 1 year?
Yeah, I think he did, mate. Aye.
it was very good. Certainly had one absolutely fantastic season, that's for sure. But he was a very good player for us. Yeah, if I think that McKinley should have a jersey or Taylor, then I'm going to go for wee Izzy in this situation. I thought he was fantastic for Celtic. No, so much that when he came back again, he wasn't. But I thought he was. He was strong, physical, and he loved the Celtic. Bit of a cult hero, the fans loved him. So I think I'll go with Izzy.
Okay. So Patrick, is it Greg Taylor for you, or is Emilio Izagiri taking that jersey off Greg Taylor?
Oh, two top players, Scott. When you think of Izagiri in the Neil Lennon team, those big European games. Oh, that's a tough one, that. Cracking wee player going forward. Izagiri was more like a left winger. I think he maybe was a wee bit, maybe a bit suspect as a defender, but going forward, when you have memories of that game against Rangers, the runs he made down the wing for goals from Gary Hooper. He's up there and you're screaming at get back, and he's putting the ball in the box at the other end of the field. Cracking wee player too. But no, I'm going to stick with Greg Taylor. Based on the fact that he plays that, he plays that role, and I think Greg Taylor is more than comfortable to step into the middle of the field, and step inside and do a left-hand side at midfielder's job. So for me, it's Greg Taylor.
Well, the comments again are pretty overwhelming for one man, and it is Emilio Izagiri. He takes the viewers' deciding vote here. So Emilio is up against two more left backs. Is he going to keep the jersey? Or Andy, are you going to give it to Tom Boyd?
That's a tough one, isn't it? It's a toughie. Aye, it's a toughie. Very good captain for Celtic as well. Played in some very important games. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Tom Boyd.
Okay. Reason for that, Andy?
Probably, more influence in the team than as a very good player, as a, but Celtic former captain, playing some massive games for Celtic, historical games. Just images of him lifting trophies and being a leader, that's, I don't know, that they are different type of players, but I'm just going to go with Tom Boyd.
Okay, mate. So, Patrick, Tom Boyd getting the jersey for you, mate?
Aye, Tom Boyd for me too. And it's very simple, Scotty. Inspirational captain. Never dreamed that he would become that kind of a player for Celtic, or that kind of an influence when he first came. So for me, the pressure on him as a captain going into that season with Rangers going for the 10, the pressure on him as a Celtic captain, can you just imagine what that would have been like to be the Celtic captain that didn't stop the 10? So massive pressure on the guy's shoulders, and he just carried that, and he carried that team, and he was a massive part of that team under Wim Janssen and Murdo McLeod. And not only that, he went on to have a really good career, and he was an excellent servant for Scotland as well. A very popular guy. Again, I've been fortunate to meet him a few times at functions and stuff, and a lovely gentleman. Plenty of time for the supporters. But for me, he's a legendary Celtic figure because he was the captain of the team that stopped that 10. So for me, Tom Boyd.
So Celtic love you more than you will know, Emilio Izagiri, but the jersey has been handed over to club former club captain and club legend Tom Boyd, and club ambassador now, who's doing a great job for the club. He's up against one last man, Andy, and on the 1st of July, we will see him back in a Celtic jersey. But is he getting the 4 Leaf Clover Podcast number 3 jersey? Tom Boyd is up against Kieran Tierney.
We don't even need to ask that question, do you? Of course, it's KT. Just fantastic that we are getting him back. Obviously, he's been away for 5 years. We're getting him back as a better player, and for Hee-Haw. So, win-win situation for us. Massive. I think he's a captain. He's. I said that maybe a couple of weeks ago that I would make him captain. It's obviously not going to happen, but if he hadn't left to go to Arsenal, he would be the Celtic captain right now, because he was the next captain in the making. Absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
If you can remember when Cal Mack first got the captaincy, a lot of people are a wee bit kind of, is he the right man for the job? Is he, he seemed a wee bit introverted. As it turned out, Cal Mack's been an absolutely fantastic captain, but this guy is in a different level, I think, Tierney. The passion. I just think you're at, mind when he broke his jaw, broke his jaw or his cheek or something like that, wasn't it? And smashed his
jaw, mate, aye.
And the cup final away getting it fixed, and then comes back for the trophy lift. Just that's the kind of commitment you're getting, I feel. Never mind his playing ability. That's just him as a person. There's that clip of him getting was it Nakamura's boots? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
He got them from as a wee boy.
Yeah.
So he'd been at Celtic for a long, long time, grew up there. Obviously, he was away doing his thing at Arsenal. I think he's coming back a better player, but they've no took advantage of the talent that Kieran Tierney had. So it's going to be to your benefit. And I just think he charges on. He puts so much into his performances, and I'm actually delighted that he's back playing for us. I just wish he didn't go, but Celtic were willing to sell him, so it's a no-brainer. KT's getting the jersey, and I don't think there's anybody that comes close to taking that off of KT. To be quite honest with you, it's a no-brainer. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to, is not only getting them announced, because it's the worst case kept secret in football, isn't it? That obviously we know he's coming, and it's just not been that is actually speaking about him, and he's still not been unveiled. So I'll be glad to get that done, and then just to see him running about in winter time with a pair of shorts and just a t-shirt on. Just the amazing scenes when him and Bruno used to do that now, kick about away abroad, European game, and it's thick with snow outside, and they're charging about outside the hotel, like basically as if they're stoating about Benidorm. That just shows you, that the type of personalities here. I'm delighted he's back, so it's a no-brainer. It's KT for me all day.
Aye, I don't think there's any competition. Paddy, I got a WhatsApp off Mark Reed when I asked him to do the little VT for us for this last man standing, and he said KT's the best left back he's seen. So I mean that says it all really as well. So I mean, I have to ask the question: is it Tom Boyd or is it going to be Kieran Tierney for you as well, mate?
KT all day long, Scotty. I love Tom Boyd to bits. His contribution that season will never ever be forgotten. He will go down in Celtic folklore, as I say, as the captain that prevented them from doing the 10. And he was a cracking servant to Celtic, but Kieran Tierney's just on a different level. And he's proved that. Like Tommy Boyd went down to Chelsea, and he didn't really make much of it. I say we actually got Tom Boyd in the Cascarino deal, which goes down as one of the best transfer deals we ever got.
Correct.
But Kieran Tierney just a different, just on a different level. The guy is just, Celtic through and through from the very first minute he stepped onto the pitch. As a wee guy, and whatever age he was, only a wee teenager, and he just looked, he looked like a wee lost soul. But from the minute he started playing, you just realised this guy's quality. You could see his quality, and the first thing he did, they worked on him. They worked on his physique. They put him in the gym and they built him up. And And that's what I say. You don't get Arsenal and teams of that caliber spending 25 million on you if you're not a decent player. And Arsenal never balked at it. When the chance came and the money was available and the fee was mentioned, that Arsenal jumped on it. And if anybody hasn't seen the video, you can go to YouTube and you can watch the video of Kieran Tierney's first day down at Arsenal signing for the club and going through his medical and with his family and all. It's a brilliant video to watch. Heartbreaking it was at the time, but it was a brilliant video to watch. And you couldn't deny Scotty, the guy. You couldn't deny the chance to go down there and play. And we will reap the benefits of that. Kieran Tierney's coming back as an English Premiership player now. And he will just be relishing the chance to come back to Celtic, and for me there's no contest. If you had asked me to pick a left back out of all those left backs at the start, I would have gone for Kieran Tierney straight away. So for me it's a no-brainer. It has to be Kieran Tierney.
Yeah, well done. Katie gets the vote. I don't think MD picked Tom Boyd, and that's no slight on Tom Boyd, as Paddy said.
No.
He was a great captain for us. Played at a time when we weren't probably at our best, but he was one of the men that stopped the 10, so we'll forever be thankful for that. But Kieran Tierney has got the 4 Leaf Clover Podcast number 3 jersey. So Andy, the team's shaping up, mate. We've got Arthur Boric in goals, Danny McGrain at right back, and Katie at left back. I don't think many's getting past that so far.
No, great lineup so far. What's the next one?
Number 4 jersey, mate. So first centre half, right hand side centre half on Friday night.
Okay. So, it's going to be interesting. There is obviously, you've got the whole right back and left back. We kind of know what's going to happen there, but there's positions on that part that it really messes you up, and you've got to make decisions. It really does. Especially, I think for me, I suppose you could look at a striker and say, right, you know who your striker is. Aye, but even talking about a midfield, looking ahead to there and the players that have played there in the past, it's that's when the really hard decisions come in. So it's really interesting, but it's got tension when you've got to pick between almost 2 heroes, probably, to pick between them is.
It's going to get tasty.
As so, I'm looking forward to it. It's a great segment.
Yeah, and just want to read this out for James. Can I just say thanks, lads, for helping me keep me sane this season. And this year, watching you guys and other Celtic pods helps with my depression, and it's greatly appreciated. Aye, no worries, James. That's what we're here for, mate. We're here to get you away for the soaps as well, and have a bit of crack with people in the comments as well. Everybody's is really, really funny in the comments as well. So Paddy, just going back to the last man standing section, as Andy said, there's some difficult positions. Henrik's is nailed on as a striker, but when we get to the centre halves, Flood, plenty amazing centre halves player of the years. And say for me, I think the most crucial position is the midfield.
Yeah.
And this is a good bit about having youngsters on as well, is because is it Scott Brown, Callum McGregor, or is it Paul McStay, Paul Lambert,
Lubovic,
and things like that. It's
Tommy Burns. You know what I mean?
Exactly how difficult
that midfield is going to be. It's going to be a minefield to try and manoeuvre your way through that. But we've had some. It just shows you that we've been blessed down through the years. We've been blessed with some absolute legends playing for Celtic, wearing the hoops, and we've been fortunate enough to watch them. But it's going to be a job having to pick the last man standing. But that's the name of the game.
Yeah, it is going to be even brutal for me to try and get these whittled down to 10 guys for Friday night, but I will do my best. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was
Last man standing.
the 4 Leaf Clover Podcast 11 is shaping up nicely. So that's us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with you on Friday night at 7 p.m. For our Friday Focus show as ever. Andy, thank you so much. Patrick, thank you so much as well. hopefully we'll have our Jerry and our Michelle back on Friday night as well. We'll be with you then with another Last Man Standing segment and everything else Celtic as well. Thank you so much for all your comments. It's you guys that make this show, you know. We love interacting with you. I don't think there's a Celtic podcast like this that interacts so much with the audience, and it's great to have you on board. Please tell your pals about this podcast. Please like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you on Friday night. Thank you so much. Hail, hail, all the best, and we'll catch you on Friday.
We will.
Someday you will find me.